he can't take back later, guys. We're talking some guards next, and a quick reminder that Living for We is a proud sponsor of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Gun violence is an epidemic. It's the leading cause of death for teenagers, and on this season of the Living for We podcast, they're asking what can be done to end cycles of violence in cities like Cleveland, where the shooters value their reputation over their own lives and see innocent bystanders as just collateral damage. Living for We is more than just a podcast. It's a resource for communities tired of chaos and ready to build peace. Living for We tells real stories from those most affected and solutions from change makers in the community, the families, the parents, the victims, and everything in between. The mission is simple. You can empower communities to create safer neighborhoods free from gun violence by highlighting local heroes, connecting resources and solutions, and building bridges through honest, community-driven dialogue. Join hosts Marlene Harris-Taylor and Maisha Watkins every other Tuesday for a new episode of Living for We. Keep your head up. You can find this award-winning show wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch full episodes by searching for Living for We on YouTube. Jay, the Guardians have won 5 of 6 at home. They won 2 of 3 this weekend against the Royals. But before we get into the good, you said in the intro to the show that you think the Guardians should at least consider sending Emmanuel Clase to the minors. So we're going to blow off the other stuff on the Guardians and start there because that's a hell of a take.
It is. It's they won't do it. I can tell you that right now. They won't do it. But from watching as long as I've watched, those numbers, and I know it's small and everybody says it's early, and I'm not saying he's not going to turn it around. I think he can. I'm trying to get Emmanuel Clase to be the old Emmanuel Clase. And I don't think you can do that against major league hitters in the 9th inning of close games. Because what element is there? Pressure. That's the element that he needs to most conquer because that's what closers do. But last year, I thought it was a combination of things. I thought it was overworked, for sure. End of a very long season, particularly interesting how they used him late, bringing him in the 7th inning and in the 8th inning or whatever it was. He wasn't starting the 9th. You asked him to do something that he wasn't used to doing. I don't know that he can. I always say it's like you ever lose control of your vehicle and you're going down the road and the wheels going like this.
Yeah.
And you know in that split second, this can go one of two ways. I can reel this in. Mm-hmm. Or it's going to go really off the rails really fast. I think he is going down a slippery hill, and the wheel is out of control. And there's really, if you're in the car, you got to ride it out. There's nothing you can do. If I'm the Guardians, I'm going to try to save him from himself and pull him out of that scenario and sit him down and have a talk with him and say, look, we have not lost confidence in Emmanuel Clase, the pitcher. It's clear that there are some things right now that you need to work on. You could, extended spring training. Sometimes when camp breaks, they leave a guy behind because they want him to work on some things against other prospects or whatever the case may be. I think this can go one of two ways. It can go spectacularly off the rails where he continues giving up almost a run an appearance. I think, how many appearances has he made? 7? So he's averaging more than a run an appearance. I just want to reel this in before it goes haywire. And I don't know if you just put him as a setup man or even the 8th inning guy. I don't know that you're not further damaging his confidence. And I know it sounds oxymoronic because you're like, well, if you send him to the minors, you're crushing his confidence. I don't think it is. You're doing it and you're telling him, we don't care if you get guys out. We want to see your stuff improve.
Explain this for both of you. Explain this to me. So if you're a closer, right? And you're coming into the game, and you talked about the pressure. You're going to come into the game, there's maybe bases loaded, maybe guys in scoring position, and maybe you start off, at the top of the inning.
He usually starts the inning clean.
Clean, right? So if you're coming in and you already are under sort of pressure, and you're used to throwing strikes, would you rather him come in and throw strikes, or come into the game and not have command and can't throw strikes?
No, you can't have that. That's the worst thing a reliever can do is come in. That's gas on the fire.
So if you eliminate that and you say, okay, well, we're going to have you throw strikes, then that's like, at some point, is there anything you can do to improve that? Because, hey, I'm throwing strikes.
Yes, it's where you're throwing them.
My velocity is there.
Yeah, it's where you're throwing them.
So is it just strictly location?
Yes. In my mind, it's all location.
He's missing his spots.
He's missing his spots.
And he's so good, I don't know, like he can miss his spots in AAA and still get guys out.
Absolutely.
So
you
I
would
don't-
get guys out there.
So I don't know if that, you see what I'm saying? I don't know what that.
Again, you have to look at it, and I've heard a lot of managers tell pitchers this before spring training start. I don't care if you give up 8 runs. Today, we're working on your outside slider.
Yeah.
And we want to see 70% of your sliders hit quadrants 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't care about anything else. If they put great bat on the ball and they hurt you, then they hurt you. But we need you to throw the ball in a certain place, and right now you're not.
Yeah.
That's what pitching is. With all the analytics that are involved right now in baseball, it's about everybody says, it's about velocity. That is not true. I re-listened to an interview of Greg Maddux a couple weeks ago, right as spring training was ending. And what he said in 1996 still applies today. And he was talking about young kids. He's like, young kids, you're in the gym, you're overthrowing. Why are we seeing so many injuries? Jay, you'll know this. The reason we're seeing more injuries with young pitchers, they're trying to throw the ball through a brick wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys can hit 100. See Emmanuel Clase. Why are they hitting him is the question. They're hitting him because he is missing his spots. Pitching is now and will always be about changing speeds and hitting spots. And right now, he's not doing that. So, and I don't know, the slider seems to be out of the mix. Don't you think, Jay?
I was actually just looking that up now.
I would like to know, because this anecdotally, as I'm watching him, I'm like, why isn't he throwing his slider as much?
Because
Well, he's throwing it more.
Okay, well then, yeah, anecdotally, I haven't seen every one of his pitches, but to me it feels like he's not relying
No,
on
he's
it.
throwing it significantly more. That
What's
was one of
the
the
percentage?
things. 32%.
Okay, that's still-
last year it was 20%. So it's
Okay.
up significantly. That was one of the things.
So has he lost confidence in his fastball?
I don't know. I should do a deep dive in the movement on his cutter.
Not there. It's not.
But he's leaving the cutter over the middle of the
I know,
plate.
but it's not moving as much. Is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The cutter, to me, when he came over, I didn't get the trade. I thought this is a bad trade. I knew a Clase very superficially. The reason I didn't like the trade is because this guy throws hard, but everything is straight. There's no movement to his stuff.
That's fine. I love the trade because I'm a fantasy baseball geek, and I actually had Clase on my team before the trade. And I remember I'm like, he throws 100-mile-an-hour cutter, guys, and there's only one other pitcher
Yeah.
I know that did that,
Yeah.
and he's in the Hall of Fame. And everyone killed me. Like, how could you possibly? I'm like, I'm just
Well,
telling
when
you.
he first came up, they hit him hard. And I didn't watch him a lot when he was with Houston, but I kept looking at his stuff going, what's special about this? Other than the fact that it's really hard. And then what I thought changed for him was, and I credit the Indians and Guardians at the time, the Indian staff, all the credit in the world because they got his stuff to move. And it's all finger placement and it's different positionings and grips. They got his cutter to move to the point where I'm like, okay, this is Mariano Rivera territory. Now, when I look at his stuff, Jay, his cutter in particular, it's flat. And guys are going to hit that all day long.
It could be he's trying to get movement on those pitches, and maybe he's throwing to a place where he thinks he's going to get the slider to break a quadrant
Maybe.
outside, and he's throwing it and it's just not breaking.
So his cutter last year, launch angle is the trajectory it comes off the bat.
Right.
Exit velocity is how hard is it coming off the bat. Last year off his cutter, the launch angle was 0.
Jeez.
And it was 86 mile an hour was the exit velocity. This year, the launch angle is 6 degrees, which doesn't sound like a lot, but
And it's a lot.
A lot of his pitches are getting hit higher than they were, and the exit velocity is 90. So the velocity on it is a tick down. It's about a half tick down in terms of how hard he's throwing it compared to last year, and they're hitting it harder. He's missing his spots, and he's not putting it where the guys used to beat it into the ground. And now they're getting some lift on it, a little bit of lift on it.
See, my fear with this is they move him to the 7th inning guy or even earlier, and guys continue to pound him.
That's devastating.
Where I think if you put him in the minor leagues, he's going to get outs. Because a lot of these pitches that these guys are hitting hard for base hit, the first 4 guys, boom, 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 hit it hard, put it in play. I think it's also the fact that they know what's coming and they know he's a wounded animal.
Yeah, I do think part of it is just unlucky. Listen, he's not pitching well, but he's only given up 1 barrel, which is about on par with where he's been in the past. So it's not like guys are killing it. I think part of it is bad luck, but a lot of it is that he's just missing his spots. And I don't. Maybe it was overuse. Maybe it was the Andrew Miller effect of 2016 where he was never the same pitcher after that.
How many innings did he throw last year?
I can look it up. Mike, you could probably look it up faster than I can.
Just remember. I remember.
I'm on the wrong
Clase
page.
last year, 1 sec.
And the playoffs. I think that's even more important.
Yeah.
Appearances to playoffs, because he probably averaged more than
Clase last season threw in 74 games through 74.1 innings. That was in the regular season.
which means he was called on one time to get an extra out.
Yeah, almost half the games he appeared in. Almost.
And then in the playoffs last year,
That's a lot.
he pitched in 7 games.
And how many innings?
14 innings in the playoffs.
Okay, now what does that tell you? You've doubled his workload. And at the time I said, why are we pulling our pitchers in third inning? What are we doing? Fourth inning, starting pitchers out of the game. Bullpen, way heavily used, way overused. It's going to show up somewhere. It manifested itself both in the playoffs, and now, apparently, it's manifested itself 6 months later.
The Miller thing probably isn't fair because he pitched a whole lot more. I mean, the Guardians went 2 rounds last year. Miller pitched 4.
Yeah.
So the usage was way, way higher, and those were grueling series. The Cubs was a 7-game series.
The Yankees, was that 5? Did we lose 4-1?
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 playoff games. He pitched in 7. In the regular season, he made appearances in 50% of the games. In the playoffs, he made appearances in 70%
Was
of
it
the games.
6?
I can't remember. Was it
It
4?
ended here, so it had to go, because 7 would have been 5. It was 5,
5.
because 6 and 7
Yeah,
both would have
5.
been there, right? I can't remember how baseball does it now.
Yeah, for that series. Either way, I mean, he's, and you would expect him to be used a lot. His usage rate would be more in the playoffs. The games are obviously more important,
Yeah.
but they used him in 70% of the games.
Yeah.
And they didn't just use him, they brought him in the 8th inning. The guy pitched 14 innings in 7 games. That is way out of the norm of what they asked him to do in the regular season. And I hope we're not paying the piper long term for that. But he had 6 months to get healthy. He had 6 months to get his arm right, and it's not right. And have you heard any indication at all that he might have an injury?
No.
Because I have not.
No.
I'm almost hoping that they come out and say shoulder inflammation, elbow.
Well, I mean, they may shut him down. They may make something up and shut him down. That might be an alternative to.
If I send him to the minors, that's what it would be about. We're gonna shut him down for 15 days or whatever, and then when he is healthy again, give him a minor league
Rehab
stint,
assignment.
and that way you kind of scratch everything and you just get it all off the table.
Is he, I don't know, you kind of compare it to like basketball, right? Have you ever seen like a great 3-point shooter and then like 1 year he had a bad year and then you find out he'll never shoot that again and he had consistently great, like he was a great shooter?
No, not so much. Baseball, it's more. You get more of that.
You do, because throwing a baseball is the most violent act in sports.
Yeah, you get guys who
It's unnatural.
Steve Sachs, Chuck Knobloch could make the throw from second to first all of a sudden, just
That was all
overnight.
mental. Mackie Sasser was a catcher, couldn't throw it back to the pitcher.
Yeah, Rick Ankiel.
Rick Ankiel.
Right. What if he's just like, look, that he's just doesn't have command anymore?
No, I don't think it's that because he's
I don't
throwing
either.
strikes.
He's throwing strikes. It's
That's
not
the
like
problem.
he's just lost the zone.
That's the problem.
That's a different. That is the problem.
Hitting his spots.
Yes. So it's interesting.
Relievers have bad years all the time.
Right.
They do, but
That
here's the
happens.
problem with this. This isn't a guy going from a 1.18 ERA to a 2.9.
Right.
It's like all-time great.
It's times 7.
Yeah.
And I know, and I agree with you. Part of this is luck. It's such a small sample size. Let's see what he does over the next 7 games. If his ERA is still 7, Houston, we've got a problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem. And it's interesting that you said that because a lot of times guys do lose command. That happens both in short term and then at the end of the careers. That's not the problem with him. So I think it's movement. I would love to be able to track, and I don't know if there's a tool that shows estimated movement on cutter.
Oh, there is.
Then I would love to know
There
what
is.
was his cutter moving last year
Yeah.
and what is his cutter moving this
Baseball
year.
Savant will have all of that, of the degrees and the movement and the drop.
I would be fascinated to look at that.
I'll dig into that and see.
Am I nuts saying he should go to the minors?
Yes.
I'm
I would
not.
not send him to the minors.
I mean, it's not the first time you would say that.
Yeah, I think at some point, I don't think we're there yet.
Right.
It could get to the point where you have to pull him out of the closer role and put him in a low leverage spot. Maybe if you do want to send him to the minors, maybe a workaround is just shelve him for 2 weeks, let him clear his head.
Yeah.
And then bring him back on a rehab assignment and give him 2 appearances, 3 appearances. in Columbus to just see what happens.
If you had to split the pie, what percentage of it to you is mental and what percentage of it is physical?
Probably 75 to 80% mental.
I was going to say 80.
Yeah.
I think most of it is between his ears.
Yeah.
And that's hard to fix. See Deshaun Watson.
Hey, Fausto Carmona was broken by the Red Sox in that playoff series. He was never the same after that. Like, I forget now. What did he throw? It was a sinker or a slider, and Boston would just spit on it and wait for his fastball. And, like, he was never the same pitcher after that playoff series.
Well, every hitter has their kryptonite. Every pitcher has their kryptonite, the pitch you don't want to throw. If you're throwing a chase pitch and guys recognize it and spit on it all day long, you've lost your cape.
Yeah.
It's off. And I don't know if that's where Clase is.
I don't think that's the case
I don't either.
here.
I don't think we're that far.
Yeah,
I worry that it could develop into that.
Yeah, Clase was much better than Carmona was. In Clase, it's not a matter of stuff. It's a matter of location right now.
Yeah. And movement. If you can find out the average movement on his cutter last year compared to this year.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was the pitch that really took him from a guy with unbelievable upside and a lot of potential to
made him elite.
A guy that delivered. He was elite. He was the best closer in the game.
Yeah.
Hell, I think his year last year was one of the best years we've ever seen from a closer.
Absolutely.
And then the wheels completely fell off in the playoffs.
Yep.
All right, let's move on, guys.